The movie opens with radical animal rights activists breaking into a laboratory where various species of chimpanzees have been kept for medical research purposes. The radical animal rights activists want to free the animals, but a lab staffer warns them that the animals are infected with the highly contagious rage virus. The animal rights activists ignored his advice and released the chimps. The chimps attack everyone in the lab and infect them all. The lab staffer tries to kill the infected, but it's too late and he's overpowered. The infection spreads quickly through the activists, turning them into monsters in 20 seconds. The film then jumps forward to 28 days in the future, where a man named Jim awakens in a hospital bed. He notices that the hospital is empty and the phone lines are dead. He picks up a drink and heads out, only to find that the city of London has been completely abandoned and appears to have gone through some kind of disaster similar to the hospital. Hoping to find survivors, he stumbles upon a church where a large congregation of people have congregated. He calls out for them, but only gets chased by the people who seem to have turned into raging monsters. They follow Jim until he stumbles upon two people who have managed to survive, Selena and Mark. The pair sets the angry monsters on fire by hurling homemade petrol bombs at them. After using explosives to eliminate the monsters, they take Jim to their underground London store, where they're hiding. It's then revealed that Jim was in a coma, and while he was in the coma, that the rage virus has spread all over the country, turning people into monsters and causing a social breakdown. There's no radio, no electricity, no TV, no government, no army, no police. And all that's left for consumption are candies and canned soft drinks. And Selena suggests that the disaster has gone worldwide. Jim is shocked when he learns this, and he really wants to find his parents. Even though Selena and Mark try to tell him that it's not a good idea, eventually they agree and go with him to his parents' house the next morning. Jim's house looks spooky, just like the rest of the city. He discovers his parents' dead bodies in their room. It seems like they both decided to end their lives and left a note for him. Jim started crying after reading the note. For safety, they all decided to stay at Jim's house for the night and sleep together in one room. But Jim can't sleep because he's thinking about his parents. While Selena and Mark are sleeping peacefully, Jim looks at old videos and his mother's handwriting. Suddenly, two monsters burst into the house through the window and attack him violently. Selena and Mark wake up quickly and help Jim fight off the monsters. Jim doesn't get hurt, but Mark starts bleeding. Selena is worried that Mark might get infected, so she hits him with a machete and kills him to protect everyone else. She decides they need to leave immediately to avoid more attacks. Jim is shocked and upset about Mark's death, but Selena explains to him that the virus spreads through infected blood, turning people into violent monsters in seconds. She thinks that simply being alive is good enough, and doing whatever it takes to survive is justified. She tells him that if he ever gets infected, she'll kill him right away. On their way to the store, they notice Christmas lights twinkling in an apartment in a tall building in an otherwise dark and empty city. This gives them hope of finding other survivors, so they decide to check it out. They start climbing the stairs, but halfway through, Jim feels tired and gets a severe headache, probably from hunger. She gives him some painkillers and a drink, but suddenly, they hear infected people coming up the stairs. Panicking, they run upstairs and meet a man wearing police riot gear. He helps them get to his apartment while he fights off the infected. Despite their attempts, some infected manage to get past him. The man then invites them into his apartment and introduces himself as Frank. He lives with his teenage daughter, Hannah. He offers them some wine and turns off the battery-powered Christmas lights. Selena and Jim spend the night at Frank's place and talk about whether they should stay with him. Jim thinks that they're good people, but Selena believes they'll slow them down and she'd leave them behind without hesitation. She warns Jim that prioritizing others over their own survival will only get them killed. The next morning, Frank and Jim check their remaining water supply. It's not looking good because it hasn't rained in days, and Frank thinks that they won't be able to survive for long, holed up in the apartment. Then, he shows Jim and Selena a recording of a radio message sent by soldiers. These soldiers, near Manchester, claim they have found a solution to the infection and are inviting survivors to join them. Frank suggests that they go to Manchester. Selena hesitates at first, but eventually agrees, so they all get into Frank's car and start their journey. Along the way, they reach a tunnel. Jim is unsure about going through a dark tunnel, but Frank and Selena outvote him and decide to go through it anyway. Inside the tunnel, they encounter a pile of car debris blocking their path, causing Frank to get a flat tire. Jim's fears come true when they hear infected people approaching. Frank and the others work quickly to change the tire, managing to escape just in time. They then stop to gather food and supplies, also filling a large fuel can for their long trip. The group spends the night in a peaceful field, sharing dinner together. As Selena spends more time with Frank and his daughter, her perspective on life begins to change. She tells Jim that simply being alive isn't sufficient, and there's more to life than survival. Jim and Hannah have trouble falling asleep due to fear of an attack, while Selena easily drifts off. Jim wakes Selena up and asks her for her secret. Selena gives them pills she takes to sleep, revealing she's a trained chemist and the pills are safe. Jim and Hannah take one each and fall asleep, while Frank stays awake to watch out for any infected monsters. The next morning, they kept driving on their journey. After many hours on the road, they come across a barrier. They also see fires burning in Manchester, which is far away. Sadly, they find out that the barrier is empty. Selena thinks they should go back home, but Frank doesn't want to give up. He looks for soldiers around, but eventually loses hope. He gets angry and yells out in frustration. A crow eating an infected person's body adds to his frustration. Frank tries to scare the bird away, but accidentally gets infected when a drop of contaminated blood lands in his eyes. He tells his daughter, Hannah, to stay away from him, but she gets worried and approaches him as the virus starts taking over his body. Selena stops Hannah, while soldiers hidden behind the barrier shoot and kill Frank. They realize the barrier isn't empty after all. The soldiers take the 3 survivors and their car to a strong mansion. They meet Major Henry West, who's in charge of the soldiers. The trio takes showers and changes into clean clothes. Frank's death and its effect on Hannah deeply affected Selena, who had grown close to them over the past few days. Selena finds comfort in the West, and they start to develop romantic feelings for each other. Later, Jim talks to West about the solution to the infection promised in the Army broadcast. West assures him that, while it may not be exactly what he had expected, they do have a solution. The mansion is surrounded by tall perimeter walls, and the surrounding ground has been set with tripwires and landmines. They rely on wood fires to heat water and cook food. West is also banking on the infected people starving to death. He's even kept an infected soldier named Mailer chained in the mansion to study the effects of the virus. Everyone then gathers for dinner, where West argues with his Sergeant Farrell about life after the infection. After dinner, West takes Jim for a drink and gives him a lecture about survival. He then reveals that he has promised to provide women to his soldiers. The soldiers aren't just waiting for the infected to die, they also plan to survive by coercing the female survivors into sleeping with them. Shocked by this revelation, Jim tries to flee with Selena and Hannah. Sergeant Farrell tries to help them, but unfortunately, the soldiers easily capture them and lock Farrell and Jim in a room. While in prison, Farrell speculates that the virus might not have spread beyond British borders. He points out that the virus takes over the body so quickly that it would be impossible for the infected to leave the island and spread the disease elsewhere. The next day, soldiers take Farrell and Jim into the woods to kill them. When one soldier hesitates, the other shoots Farrell. This makes the hesitant soldier, Jones, angry, and they fight while Jim escapes. Jim climbs over a wall and sees a plane flying, giving him hope. Meanwhile, Selena and Hannah are told to clean up to serve the soldiers. Selena asks for time to help Hannah. Suddenly, alarms go off. Wes learns Jim escaped and goes to find him with a soldier. Jim kills the soldier near the barrier and takes his gun, then returns to the mansion. At the mansion, Jim frees the infected soldier, Mailer. The Mailer attacks the soldiers, and meanwhile, the girls escape. However, Selena is caught by another soldier. Mailer's bite turns someone else into a monster, and they start attacking soldiers. Jim fights and looks for the girls, while West comes back. Jim kills the soldier holding Selena, which scares her. Selena thinks Jim might be infected, so she tries to hit him with her machete, but can't do it. Jim comforts her, and they kiss passionately. Hannah finds them, and they rush to Frank's car, but West shoots Jim. Angry, Hannah drives away with Selena and Jim. They take Jim to an empty hospital, where Selena saves his life with surgery. 28 days later, Jim wakes up in a remote house, healed. Selena is sewing a big piece of fabric. Suddenly, Hannah comes in, yelling that something is coming. The trio then grabs the fabric and rushes outside. We see that it's a big banner that says hello. A passing plane sees the signal, giving them hope. And that is where this movie ends. Do you think that the infection spread off the island? Is it all over the world? Or is it just confined to where they live? And if they escape that island, will the infection eventually follow them? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you enjoy these types of movie recaps, then make sure you click that like button and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on the next movie recap. If you want to see more, then make sure you click that video that's on screen now to see more amazing movie recaps. This one is gonna blow your mind. That's all for this recap, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.